Sourdough truly intimidates me. So I've ordered some things. So hopefully I can make it a little easier on myself. One second, let me grab them for you. I got myself a kitchen scale. I've never used it before, so perfect. So I can measure in grams to make it easier. And then I grabbed myself a sourdough starter book, and I'm hoping that there is a how to make a starter. Oh yeah, your starter, part 1. And I just got this on Amazon. And then one other thing that I did grab was this sourdough starter kit. I know, I kind of went a little extra. I wanted to be thorough because I'm a little crazy. And it actually comes with a sourdough starter guide as well. So, and you can make gluten-free bread with sourdough, which is great. So I'm sure you could go follow this as well, but I got my book, so I'm gonna read that one. And then I've got my little, it comes with a little feeding log. That's pretty cute. I might actually use that. That's cute. And then here is my box of goodies. It comes with this jar. And it's a fairly loose lid on there. Just hoping, yes. There's a little spatula. I'm hoping that this will be good. I need to clean this out along with this. And then I have some rubber bands to like go around the edge and stuff. But I could also mark it with this pen that comes with it. I don't know. I think it'll be good. I'm gonna go wash it really quick and then I'll be right back. I don't think I need this though. Not right now at least. All right, that's washed and ready to go. And then have all my stuff ready. So for the ingredients, I really honestly think it's just gonna be mixing all these things together. I have regular unbleached flour. I got rye flour, which someone said that it's okay to use rye flour instead of wheat flour. It doesn't really matter. Either one is good for the beginning. And then the rest of the starter should end with, you can use whole wheat, unbleached flour. It does say bread flour. Is that? I don't have bread flour. So that's okay. We are not going to follow this recipe perfectly, but we are going to kind of follow it. Okay, day 1 in a 4-quart glass or plastic containers. This is not 4 quarts. 15 milliliters. Not 4 quarts. Maybe I won't use this book for the starter. It's like a really good book though. Maybe let's look at this starter guide. Recipes for beginners. Okay, so you can use rye flour, whole wheat, or unbleached all-purpose flour. Filtered water at room temperature. And all right, this one's easier. I'm just gonna go with the instructions that come with the jar, and then I'll probably just keep the book for ideas for all these different recipes because it still has classic white sourdough bread, machine bread, English muffins. Oh, yes, please. Sandwich bread. I've been missing sandwiches. I'm not gonna lie. Cinnamon raisin sourdough bread. That sounds really delicious. I would switch out any sugar for sweetener, but other than that, because I'm guessing some of these recipes have sugar in them. And I don't do well with a lot of bread, so that's why I'm doing sourdough, because I love bread and I want to eat it. And being pregnant, it's like one of my main cravings. I'm just like, I just need to figure it out. Anyway, lots and lots of recipes. I'm gonna keep this for the recipes. I don't know if the starter it's funny though because it is a starter book, but anyway. We'll probably do one of the recipes at the end of this video. All right, I know what I'm doing. Day 1, in a new glass sourdough starter jar, we need to do 1 cup, 120 grams. Okay, so we need to zero it out. Is that right? Yes, okay. We zeroed it out so that the jar is its own thing. And we need 120 grams of flour. So we're gonna start with the rye flour. I got the Bob's Red Mill Organic Stone Ground Dark Rye Flour. It's whole grain and it's non-GMO. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna do 120 grams of that. I have no idea how much that's gonna be, so that's 62. So it's like about 2/3 cup probably. 121. 120 grams. Look at that. Okay. and then stir until, oh, probably ought to add the other stuff in. And then mix that with 120 grams of warm filtered water. So this is not warm. Do I need to warm it up? It's room temperature, but it's kind of cold still. Yeah, I would say that's not warm at all. 1 second. Now this is warm water. Yes, I microwaved it. I don't know if that's the right choice, but it is what I did. So now I need to get it up to 240 grams. I'm gonna go pretty slow, I think. It went down a gram. What are we gonna do? Add a tiny little bit more. There we go. Okay. Not that I'm that age. Okay, 120 grams to 240. Okay. And it's spilling too much. Can we anchor it? $217, $228, $235, just a little bit more. A little bit more. And make sure there's not like a ton in the thing that's getting all, making it all messed up though. 237, 240, perfect, okay. I didn't want the water that was on the scale to be messing with it. Okay, and then it says stir until smooth, so just gotta mix it up. And at this point, I am like tempted to add more water, but I'm pretty sure I need to just leave it because it needs to be even amounts of each. So is that as smooth as that's gonna get? Probably. I don't know. And then you're supposed to keep it in a warm place for 24 hours. So right now is about 4 o'clock. It's not quite 4, but 2 minutes off is fine. So every day at 4 o'clock is when I need to feed it. If I don't do it perfectly, it is what it is. The first day, the starter was very chunky. So the second day, it didn't rise, I don't think at all. So I just discarded half, and then I added 120 grams of all-purpose unbleached flour and 120 grams of warm filtered water. And I didn't do like hot, it's just like I literally barely warmed it up in the microwave. Honestly, it worked just fine with microwaved water. So there you go. And this is day 3, I think. So days 2 through 5, you have to do the 120 grams of each, and then you mix it in. We are on the last day of the days 2 through 5, which days 2 through 5, feed your starter each day by discarding half. I think it's day 5. It's gotta be. My brain says it's day 5. It hasn't grown in a couple days, but I was looking that up and it should be okay. Okay, so we're gonna discard half, which I did the math. It should be 207 grams. And then, so I just set it to 0 and then take out 207. And then add 120 grams of each water and flour. So let's do that. It is starting to look like something. I don't know. Devin said it smelled like bread yesterday, so I felt like that was a promising thing for sure. I took out 216, but I feel like that should be fine. Alrighty, so I'm gonna scrape down the sides. Once I get the starter finished, I am going to clean out this jar because it is looking interesting. We're gonna zero this out again and add 120 grams of flour, 112, 125. Great. A little extra flour, but that will be fine. And then, okay, close enough. All right, now I'm just gonna mix it up. Okay, so this is what it's looking like at the end of day 5. And I'm gonna show you if it rises. Hopefully it does. I don't know. Hasn't risen in a few days, but it might have just been hungry. I have been keeping up on it and I feel pretty good about that. I've been feeding it around 4-ish, so sometimes it's like 3:30, sometimes it's 5, because I'm trying to put the baby down and he wouldn't go down. That was one day. That day it actually rose quite a bit, but yeah. So it's about the same time every day, not exactly because I am not perfect, but I'm hoping that this will work out. We'll see. I mean, maybe it will die and then I'll have to make a new one, and if I do, it'll just be a continuation of this video and we'll just keep going. So I think it's fine though. It doesn't smell weird. I mean, obviously it smells weird because it's a sourdough starter, but I'm excited. I might stick it in the window. I don't know. It's kind of warm outside today. And then yesterday, my 1-year-old got into the starter and was like playing with it, the excess starter that I needed to discard. So that was fun. So I'm gonna make sure I discard it right now before he wakes up. And when the baby got the starter everywhere, the dog was eating it. So I can't imagine that was great. So this is day 6 and my starter was still not rising amazingly. Like it was a little bit. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna feed it twice this day. I also ended up giving my niece some of my starter as well so that she could also do it. So I'd kind of show you that later, right now actually. But on day 6, this says, by now your starter should be bubbly and have a pleasant tangy aroma. Continue feeding it daily, or if you plan to bake less often, you can move it to the refrigerator and feed it once a week. And yeah, I just, depending on when I want to bake bread, I just kind of keep it in my refrigerator now. And I'm not intimidated by sourdough anymore, which is great. This jar that I'm filling up right here, I was feeding it for my niece to give to her so that it could kind of, you know, ferment and get good for her, and hopefully she's been doing good with her sourdough. I don't know, she hasn't said anything, so I'll have to ask her. But I ended up taking everything out of the bowl and the jar and everything, and I put my starter into the bowl so that I could mix it up, and then I cleaned out my jar because it was looking pretty sad. And yeah, but I did cut up this tea towel and use that as a cover for her starter, just because I didn't have like a special jar for her. I could have gotten her one, but I just didn't have time. I was just kind of in a hurry. Anyway, I was showing you the measurements. I don't remember what I did. I think I just did the 120, or no, I think I only fed my starter 100 grams this day because I already fed it that day and it was less in the starter because I gave some to my niece. Anyway, so yeah. And I think feeding it twice that day was helpful. Okay, I'm hoping I can get at least 200 grams of starter discard out of this. My husband was trying to get the four-wheeler to work. He went four-wheeling on Saturday and is trying to take it out of the truck now. Anyway, I'm hoping to get about 200 grams of starter out of this because I want to make a cracker recipe. So we're gonna do that really quick. Take the starter out, feed it, take the discard out and then feed it. The windows are open. And then I want to make this cracker recipe that I found on Instagram. So we're gonna do that really quick. It's just discard, cheese, softened butter, and salt. So I'm hoping it's really good. We're gonna see. I need to get a pan out and some parchment paper, but let's get the discard first so that I can have, I think if I pull 200 out, it'll be about right. Anyway, let's look and see. Okay, so it smells really good. So I'm gonna pull about half of the starter out and that should be about perfect. Anyway, this cracker recipe might have been the reason I wanted to do sourdough in the first place. Okay, let's feed this really quick.
111.
122 is what it's actually.
I will say learning a new skill in the kitchen is not always easy with a 4-year-old right there, but he is lots of fun and he does help me out, so it is kind of fun to have him there and learning by my side, but he also was helping Daddy too, so that was good.
I think it's starting to like actually grow when it needs to. I don't know if it's perfect, but I wanted to make some discard crackers to see, because I found this recipe before I even started doing sourdough, so I was like, this is one of the recipes that I was like, yay. Because I don't know, I felt like throwing away this discard every time you needed to use your sourdough was such a waste. So this might be a good solution to that. My kids love crackers, and they've been eating the Townhouse crackers, which isn't like, it's not great. I'm sure it's got a lot of stuff in it that's not great. They're better than Ritz because the ingredient list is not as long and crazy, but they're still not great. So my bowl of starter right here, and then I have my recipe, which I need 2 tablespoons of softened butter, which I think I have some softened butter around here somewhere. I need to clean off my counters really bad. Okay. Here you go. This is my little butter dish. And it's got softened butter in it. About 2 tablespoons in there. I need to measure with my heart is what the recipe says. And I love that measurement, because that's what I would do anyway. This is milk. Children spill milk on me all day long. I set the oven to 375, and I'm gonna measure with my heart. Let's measure with my heart into this sourdough starter bowl thing. I don't feel like that's enough. That doesn't seem like enough. Some more? Great. Said we need finely shredded. I feel like the Costco shredded cheese is pretty finely shredded, so. And then combine it. I bet if I put it in a blender, it would be like even easier to maneuver and stuff, but I don't care enough, so I'ma just mix it up and hope that it's delicious. Smells good. I don't know, it smells like sourdough. Just, is it gonna be good? It probably needs more cheese. My heart is saying more cheese.
I end up making this recipe again during this video, just like I kind of show you the end result, and I will say it turned out better the second time, but the first time was really good too. The kids were loving it. They were like, can I have more crackers please? And you know what, I aim to please, so I did give them more crackers. And the kids really loved them, so I thought that was kind of a fun thing that they got to help with.
Hold that up so it doesn't get absolutely everywhere. And I'm gonna try and mitigate the leakage. You think it's gonna be good? I have no idea. Okay, let's bake this. It says bake for 10 minutes. Bake for 10 minutes, and then you cut it, and then you bake it again for 20 minutes. So let's see how that works out. Okay, am I supposed to put the salt on right now? Yes. I'm gonna put some Parmesan on top too. I didn't use like a sharp cheddar, I just used like a mild. So I feel like using Parmesan will help add some extra like pizzazz, and hopefully it's not too Parmesan-y. It says sea salt, but I don't want to get on my kosher salt or sea salt, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of just Redmond's. Technically it is like a sea salt, but Redmond's real salt. And pop that in the oven for 10 minutes at 375.
So you can tell the sped up clips are when I am not able to share sound and stuff. But yeah, I just cut up the crackers so that they were around the same size as like a Cheez-It is kind of what I was going for. And then you see I even grab a chopstick and I put little holes in it and I made it look like a Cheez-It kind of. But yeah, I do like the aspect of cooking them for 10 minutes and then cutting them. But because they were all still so like close to each other, it cooked like a big, like one big cracker, so I separate them the second time, but I did pull off the ones and then cook it again.
Just a little hot, huh? It is yummy.
That one's a little bit hot, but it's warm.
I don't like the crackers that you made, Mom.
Thanks, Dan. That's so nice.
They're good.
You like them?
I don't like them. I love them.
Pretty sure that's one of his favorite things to say, but cooking them again did really help with the crispiness. I think I probably could have taken the edge ones off and then cooked them again because the ones in the center were still pretty soft and gooey, but they were honestly delicious. And there's my little boy just walking around. Oh my gosh, so big. And then I don't know when this was. I think this was the next day. So I decided to do some discard blueberry muffins. And I use sweetener, so there's my 0-calorie sweetener. I get the erythritol with monk fruit from Costco because it's probably the best price I've seen anywhere. And then if you coat the blueberries with flour, from what I've seen, they don't like fall to the bottom. I don't know. I don't know if all of this works, but I did it and it seemed to work, so I felt good about it. I was going to use my mini muffin holder, but I just decided to do the big muffins because there was so much, and I just ended up, I don't think there would have been enough to, I think the blueberries were too big for the mini muffin container, if that makes sense too. So yeah, just doing some muffins, and they were pretty good. I don't know if this recipe was like my favorite. I might try a different recipe next time, but I will link it below if I can find it. It was really good, but it was not my favorite. And then we had eggs with it, and that's the leftover of the eggs. And I don't know why my camera got all fuzzy like this, but I did feed the starter after making the muffins because I think I was planning to make sourdough bread that night, and it might have been that same night that I made it. I honestly cannot remember if it was that night or the next day. That day was pretty crazy, the day I made the muffins, so it's possible it was the next day that I made the actual bread, but here we go. It has been a few hours, and I will say that that is definitely an active sourdough starter. Yay! Still working on getting the shelf hung up, but yay! And it continued to rise even after I filmed that video. I had gotten a picture and sent it to my sister, and it was like up a couple more notches. I was like, this is crazy, it's so high. It smelled so good, and it's been so nice to have the sourdough starter. I've been loving it. I've been making bread once a week, and I make this sandwich bread, and it's just sweetened with honey, and I really don't feel terrible when I eat it. I mean, I still have to make sure I don't eat too much bread and too much stuff, but I think the fermentation process of the sourdough really does help to make my body feel better, and not using like a ton of sugars and things. Obviously honey has sugar in it, but it feels better. Like if I don't eat a lot, I still feel better than if I have regular sugar. Anyway, so I wouldn't recommend putting a big metal bowl on top of such a small scale. I don't think I got the measurements correct because I was going off of weight, because the book gave weight measurements and then it also gave like half a cup, which I should have just gone off of that measurement. I should have just been like 3 cups of flour versus half a cup of flour or whatever it was that it said. It wasn't great. I mean, the bread turned out just fine. I won't say that it was like amazing, but the bread turned out fine. I don't know why I sifted the flour. It's not necessary. Don't worry about doing that. I don't know why I did that. But I ended up grabbing this jar instead to measure the ingredients because I was like, I don't think I'm doing it correctly. And I don't think I did because the mixture comes out really watery. So, and like super, super sticky. I wasn't able to knead it really. I tried. But then I do add extra flour, and it did turn out just fine because I added the extra flour in each step. You add flour. Well, you're supposed to like mix it, or I don't know, what is it, the stretch and fold process that you're supposed to do like every hour and a half. This recipe was Honestly, I don't know if I'll do it again. I kind of like the process I found. I have a recipe from Farmhouse on Boone that I really like. I don't think the book was really my favorite purchase I've ever made, but the starter kit was a great purchase, so I will say that that was a great purchase. But the bread was really good still, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But here we go. Yeah. My second attempt at the crackers. They are sizzling. I separated them this time, so I had the whole sheet and then I just kind of checkered it out and threw the rest on this pan. And I feel like they're a lot more crispy this time, which is what you want in a cracker. So that will be yummy. The boys will think that's great. They thought they were really yummy last time, so they're hot. I'm gonna give them a little bit of time, but I did that with the sourdough discard before I fed my sourdough. So there you go. Woohoo! I'll also say with the crackers, I added Parmesan into the cracker, which I think was better than just putting it on top. But here I am. I don't, honestly, the process of this bread was interesting. I added salt the second time I got to the bread. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just when I needed the bread. Guys, it was a whole blur of making this bread. I started it kind of late in the day, and then I was so tired. I didn't go to bed until like 1 or 2 in the morning because of this dang sourdough. And it was delicious, but was it worth it? I wasn't sure about that. I have learned much better how to do it. I felt like the dough was just too wet. It was like really sloppy. So I decided to add a little bit more flour. I don't know if that was the right choice, but I did it. And then I put it into the bowl. I washed the bowl again and greased it again, so hopefully it doesn't have too much grease. But honestly, I just felt like that was just a recipe for disaster, so I needed it, and I'm gonna let it rise again for 90 minutes. So let's do that. This is gonna be a late a late loaf that will be made, but delicious, and for tomorrow probably. Pretty sure we never actually finished eating that loaf. Like after eating a couple slices the next day, I think I put it in the freezer because I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with it yet, and it's still in the freezer actually. So, because I've made better loaves since, so it's just like, it's okay. I might make like croutons out of it or something, maybe some stuffing. I don't know. As I was taking my phone off my tripod, it fell onto this bowl of flour that I was saving, and yeah, so let's clean this up. I never said I was very good at keeping my kitchen clean, and as you could tell, there was a can of paint still on my counter, and it's just, it is what it is. Every time I pulled the loaf out or the bread out, I added flour to it because honestly it just kept feeling like it was way too wet, and it ended up being great. I think it was fine. I think this is the last time I do it. I don't really know. Nope. Yes, it is, because I'm bringing out the parchment paper, which is where it sits while the oven heats up the pan. So, and apparently you're supposed to heat up the pan for like a whole hour before you cook the sourdough. Guys, I didn't do that. I just let it come to temperature with the Dutch oven in the oven, and then I threw my bread in there and I let it cook, and yeah, maybe it would have made it more crusty if I had done that. I also probably should have added more water, because I did add like a sprinkle of water into the pan. Yep, I'm just using a very sharp knife. I didn't have a lame or a lame, I don't know, a bread lame. I didn't have one of those, so I just pulled out my Dutch oven. It smelled a little bit like soap because I don't think it ever got rinsed enough, and then I threw my bread in there, threw a couple sprinkles of the water off my fingers into the pan with the bread, and I said, that's good enough. And then here I am bringing the bread out and putting it back in with the lid off. And maybe I could have left that in a little longer than it shows, because it probably could have gotten a little bit more crispy and crunchy on the outside, but honestly it's still really good. I was truly really happy with the way this turned out for the first time ever making sourdough, making it from scratch using my own starter. I felt so accomplished. It was a learning curve and it was completely worth it. So if you guys are scared of sourdough like I was, it's not as scary as you think it's going to be, and just do it. Just try. It's fun.